Welcome back, dear students. Today in this video we are going to discuss about the last topic in your syllabus of module 5, that is other wireless network. It is present in chapter number 16 in your Horizon textbook. So here we have again only one concept to discuss, 16.2 cellular telephony, that is working of your mobile phones actually, and how mobile phones evolved, what is 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and how your calls are connected, how your mobiles are located by the base stations. All these concepts we are learning in this topic. Really helpful and very interesting video, or a topic I can say. So we will discuss without wasting much of the time. So what is cellular telephony? So cellular telephony, it is actually designed to provide communications between two moving units. These moving units are called as mobile stations. Okay, so or between one mobile unit and one stationary unit. It may be anything, or it may be two mobile stations, or one stationary unit, or one mobile unit. It may be anything, often called a land unit. Here stationary unit is called as a land unit. A service provider must be able to locate and track a caller, assign a channel to the call, and transfer the channel from base station to another base station as the caller moves out of the range. So it gives you a light picture of how cellular telephony works. So what in the first line I have mentioned, cellular telephony is designed to provide communication between moving units. It may be moving units, two moving units, or it may be between a moving unit and a stationary unit or a landline unit, right? So what is the role of service provider here? The role of service provider is to locate and track a caller. See, first you need to know your service providers like Jio or Airtel. What they do, they will locate you and they will track you. Okay, you will be always moving when you are using mobile, or you may be stationary, but those mobile units may be moving, right? So there is a need to locate a user and track a caller. Okay, user and caller are same here. Locate and track a caller, and service provider has to assign a channel. Okay, these channels, the frequencies for these channels are leased by the service providers and they are given by government. Okay, so here service providers have to locate and track a caller, and they have to assign a channel to the call. Okay, and then transfer the channel from base station to base station. So if you are on a moving bus or a moving vehicle, whenever the boundary of one base station, I'll tell you what is boundary or what is cell of a base station, I'll tell you. So whenever you are moving outside of a base station's range, then that call should be connected to the next base station. So these are the things service provider should take care of. So what are these things, we will discuss in detail in the next part of this video. So to make this tracking possible, each cellular service area is divided into small regions called cells. I will discuss it later. Each cell contains an antenna and is controlled by a solar or AC powered network station called the base station. So here please remember these things. You will come to know about several keywords here. First thing I mentioned is about cells. So what are cells? Cells are the cellular service area. So area bounded by a base station is called as cell, in other word. Then each cell contains an antenna. So antenna, what mobile towers, what we call, they are called as base stations here. That is the technological terminology used. Okay, so each base station in turn is controlled by a switching office. It is called as mobile switching center. So now here we got to know about four things. First thing is mobile station. It is your user mobile. Then cell means the boundary or the region or the cellular service area. It is a smaller region. This is called as cell. Then each cell has an antenna called as base station, and each base station are controlled by a mobile switching center. Okay, so the mobile switching center coordinates communication between all the base stations and the telephone central office. So what MSC does, MSC means mobile switching center. It coordinates the actions between many base stations and telephone central office. Okay, so it is a computerized center that is responsible for connecting calls, recording call information, and billing. So this MSC is responsible for all these things, that is connecting calls, recording call information, and billing activities. So this is a picture of cellular system. So here we will see what are the things or how they are connected. So this is you can see here properly, this is a cell. Cell is of which shape? Hexagonal shape. Why it is hexagonal shape, we'll discuss shortly. Then each this cellular area may be having many mobile stations. Okay, so we are some 1,000 users or 10,000 users will be connected to a base station. Think like that. Okay, for your analogy, 10,000 users may be connected to a base station. Users means mobile stations, MS. MS are user, BS is base station, and this is the cell area, cellular service area. So these mobile stations are connected to a base station. Then many base stations are connected to a MSC, that is mobile switching center, where billing and connecting calls will take place. And this MSC is also connected at the other end, it is connected to public switched telephone network, that is PSTN, okay, through which you can connect to stationary phone. Okay, that is interconnection of a large number of connections here. Okay, so this is your cellular system, right? So cell size, its size is not fixed. Okay, cell size is not fixed and can be increased or decreased depending on the population of the area. So if you are having 50,000 mobiles in a building, then you can have your own base station. Like if the building is of 110 floors, then maybe there are chances of having 50,000 mobile stations there. So for that building, you need a base station, a unique base station to connect all the mobile stations, like that. So the cell size, what is discussed here, it is not fixed. It varies on number of users connected. So you might be saying that Jio's net is slow, Airtel's net is slow. It is because more number of users are connected in this cell. That is the problem. Okay, so as and when more number of users are connected, your network quality drops. Okay, so in that case, what more service providers will do, they will put another base station, that is they will decrease the area of this cell. That is the meaning of that. Okay, then the typical radius of a cell is 1 to 12 miles. Okay, 1 to 12 miles, please note this. Then high density areas require more geographically smaller cells. Means as and when the density or the population increases, geographically smaller cells are made. Okay, please get to know how many base stations are there in Puttur, in your region. Means how many base stations for a particular service provider. You can take it as an assignment. How many base stations are there for a particular service provider are there in your area? Please get to know this. You will get to know the other informations also, how many users are connected to a base station and all. It will clear this point. Then low density areas may demand lower or higher cell size. So once determined, the cell size is optimized to prevent the interference of adjacent cell signals. I'll tell in this next part of the video. Then the transmission power of each cell is kept low to prevent its signal from interfering with those of other cells. So these things are your electronics concepts, interference and all. So we will this base station is set in such a way that it will manage the interference from other cells. Okay, then operation of your cellular system. This is an important question. Question may be asked as, explain the operation of cellular system. It is an important question. Is in 5th module. It will be asked for 10 marks. So what are the things you have to discuss? So we will discuss what are the operation or what is the operation of cellular telephony. So the first principle here is frequency reuse principle. What is this and what we need to know about this? We will discuss it with this figure. So in this figure, you have seen some this thing here, colors and some cells, hexagonal cells. Cells are in hexagons. Okay, hexagonal shape. Why it is, I'll tell you. And here in A, reuse factor of 4. something called as reuse factor of 4 is there, and in B we have something called as reuse factor of 7. What is this? We will discuss. You can get to know from the figure that how many cells have a unique color. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cells have one type of color. These 4 cells have one type of color. These 4 cells have one type of color. Connect this point, reuse of factor 4. Coming to next part. Here reuse factor is 7, means 7 cells have same color. What is that color notation? What is this reuse factor? We will discuss. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. I'll explain this with a figure. Then in general, neighboring cells cannot use the same set of frequencies for communication. That is, this cell, what frequency it is using, this cell cannot use the same frequency. Okay, like that. So that is, neighboring cells cannot use the same set of frequencies for communication because doing so may create interference for the users located near the cell boundaries. So however, the set of frequencies available is limited and frequencies need to be reused. Okay, a frequency reuse pattern is a configuration of n cell. So here n is capital N, I'll say n is reuse factor. Okay, so n is reuse factor in which each cell uses a unique set of frequencies. Okay, here in 1, 2, 3, 4, each cell uses a unique set of frequencies. Here in this 1, 2, 3, 4, each cell uses a unique set of frequencies. Similarly in the L region, like that. So when the pattern is repeated, the frequencies can be reused. The numbers in the cell define the pattern. The cells with the same number in the pattern can use the same set of frequencies. See here, 1 here and 1 here, 1 here. We have 3 ones here. 1 marked with blue, 1 marked with yellow, 1 marked with brown. So here what you can say, the frequencies in all ones are same. And can you tell me what is the, are they the neighboring cells? No. So it has 3 in between. So here between 1 and this one we have 2 or 4 here. Then between this one and this one we have again 4 here. So the neighboring cells are not having the same frequency. So our task is to assign frequencies in such a way that neighboring cells should not have same frequency. Okay, so here we have done that. Here we are using another technique, that is reuse factor of 7, wherein we have 7 different frequencies. Okay, we call these cells the reusing cells. The first one, in a pattern with a reuse factor 4, only cells separate the cells using the same set of frequencies. So in a pattern with reuse factor 7, 2 cells separate the reusing cells. Okay, so means you will not get a little bit of interference here. Okay, here 2 cells, 2, 5 separates this one, and 3 and 6 separates this one. It may be anything. 3 and 7 separates this one also. Okay, are you understanding? So what is our aim while creating or while assigning frequencies? Our aim is to make neighboring cells with different frequencies. That is all. Okay, if you use reuse factor of 4, we'll be having only one cell between the same set of frequencies. If you use reuse factor of 7, we'll be having 2 cells between the same set of frequencies. Okay, that's it. The next point, coming to the next point, transmitting. So in transmitting, to place a call from a mobile station, so think that you are making a call from mobile station, that is from your mobile. The caller enters a phone number, right? It may be a landline number or a mobile number. If it is mobile number, it will be having 10 digits, and presses the send button. Send button means your call button. The mobile station then scans the band. What does the mobile station does? It scans the band, seeking a setup channel with a strong signal, and sends the data to the closest base station using that channel. So what it does, your mobile station, it selects a band from your base station, and it sends all the information that this user wants to call this number. So what mobile station will do, these things it will do. Then what base station does, the base station relays the data to the MSC. So it gives the data to MSC, then the MSC sends the data on the telephone central office. So if the party is available, a connection is made and the result is relayed back to the MSC. Then at this point, MSC assigns an unused voice channel to the call. So who does assign the unused voice channel? It is MSC. Okay, so this is how connection is established. The mobile station automatically adjusts its tuning to the new channel, and communication can begin at this point of time. Okay, this is all about transmitting. So in transmitting, what you have done, what you have learned, a mobile station gives you information about whom to call. Okay, using those 10 digits number, mobile station seeks the help of base station for a channel to be created. What base station will do, it will take all the information from mobile station and it will send the information to MSC. So MSC checks whether the party is available. If the party is available, it will allow a frequency. It will give you an unused voice channel. So there will be some voice channels with a particular service provider so that he can assign you. So if all the voice channels are busy at a particular point of time, then you will hear a busy tone. That is, the network is busy, some errors like that you will find out every now and then. So that is the reason for that. If there are no unused voice channels to the call, then MSC gives you an error called as, or it will give you information about busyness, about telling that the network is busy. You can call after some time. That is the meaning of it. Okay. So coming to the next point, that is receiving. So when a mobile phone is called, the telephone central office sends the number to the MSC. So suppose you are calling your friend. So the telephone central office, it sends the number to the mobile switching center. Then mobile switching center searches for the location of the mobile station by sending query signals to each cell in a process called paging. So this is very important. So whenever you call your friend, that mobile switching center will do, it will send that querying information to every base station, right? So that base station, it will give a message to every mobile stations connected to it, right? Once this process is called as paging. What is paging? Paging means sending information to all the nodes. Okay, so only the required node will extract the information, other nodes will discard the information. That is the meaning of it. Then once the mobile station is found, the MSC transmits a ringing signal, and when the mobile station answers, it assigns the voice call. So that is how receiving takes place. Then the next important thing is handoff. In handoff, we'll be having two techniques, hard handoff and soft handoff. So it may happen that during a conversation you will be moving always, right? You are in a vehicle, you will be moving here and there. The mobile station moves from one cell to another cell. So what happens here is, what is handoff, or when handoff happens, that we are discussing. What happens here is, when a mobile station reaches another cell, it has received a call in one cell, or it has started dialing a call in one cell, it reaches the boundary of another cell or the region of another cell. Suppose when you move out of Puttur, your cell region may finish, or you may enter another cell. Then what happens? How the mobile service providers will act on that we are learning in handoff, right? So when during a conversation, mobile station moves from one cell to another. When it does, the signal may become weak, right? So to solve this problem, the MSC monitors the level of signals every few seconds. That's why your battery drains. Okay, if the strength of the signal diminishes, the MSC seeks a new cell that can be better accommodate the communication, right? The MSC then changes the channel carrying the call. So what it does, it always monitors the signal level. Your MSC monitors the signal level. Then whenever it is diminishing, that channel which is carrying the call is being shifted to another base station. That is how handoff takes place. So in hard handoff, a mobile station only communicates with one base station. That is, when MS moves from one cell to another cell, the first assigned channel will be broken. Then a new one is established. So this may create a rough transition. Then in soft handoff, A mobile station can communicate with two base stations at a time, at the same time. So this means that during handoff, a mobile station may continue with new base station before breaking off the old one. So this is what is followed in today's scenario, that is soft handoff is followed, okay, by all our service providers. So by the virtue of this, we will not get to know whether we are moving from one cell to another cell. Our call is always connected. Okay, then the next thing is roaming. What is roaming? So one feature of cellular telephony is called as roaming. So what is roaming? You all know, as you all know, when you move from one state to another state or one service provider to another service provider, then roaming comes into picture. Roaming means in principle that a user can have access to communication or can be reached where there is coverage, right? A service provider usually has limited coverage. Neighboring service providers can provide extended coverage through a roaming contract. So your service providers may have contract with other service providers in other countries. Whenever you move to other countries, then your network will be roaming. Then they can provide service to you. They have authorities to provide service to you. This is called as roaming. Then the situation is similar to snail mail between countries. So the charge for delivery of a letter between two countries can be divided upon agreement by two countries. So this is similar to your roaming of service provider when you are in other countries. Okay, so this is all about operations of cellular telephony. So here you are going to write about, for this question, operation of cellular telephony, you are going to write about frequency reuse principle. You are going to write about this figure, how it works, reuse factor of 4 and reuse factor of 7. Try to draw this diagram. It looks easy, but it is not easy. Then about transmitting, how a call is done by you and how you receive a call, and when you move from one cell to another cell, what happens? Handoff. Two types of handoff: hard handoff, soft handoff. Then roaming means when you travel beyond your service provider's coverage, then what happens? So that is the thing you have to know in cellular telephony's operation. Okay, then we are going to deal about the features of first generation, second generation, third generation and fourth generation cellular telephony. So I'll cover this fast. This is very easy and you can understand easily. So cellular telephony is now in its fourth generation, as you already know. It has already reached the fifth generation, but it is not in use here. So the first generation was designed for voice communication. Please note down these points. First generation was just designed for voice communication using analog signals. Okay, so we discuss first generation mobile system used in North America's AMPS. So we have two standards here, AMPS. AMPS is a standard, okay, and we have another standard. I'll tell you further. This is North America's standard, AMPS. Okay, so what is AMPS? It stands for an Advanced Mobile Phone System. So AMPS operates in ISM 800 megahertz band. So these things you should know, right? The system uses two separate analog channels, one for forward and one for reverse. So see here, it uses two analog channels. So one for forward transmission means from base station to mobile station. Means, see here, one more thing you have to note in data communication subject, forward transmission means that will be from base station to mobile station. Okay, that is from your antenna to your mobile is forward. Then communication and forward transmission or communication, and one for reverse. Reverse communication means, or reverse transmission means, from your mobile station to base station. Please note these things. Forward transmission means base station to your mobile, that is antenna to your mobile is forward, but you think that it is backward, right? So it is not the thing here in the standard. Forward means base station to mobile, and reverse means mobile station to base station, right? A band between 824 and 849 megahertz carries reverse communication. What is the difference? 849 minus 824, how much it is? 25 megahertz. So 25 megahertz is there for you for forward transmission, and reverse transmission, and the band between 869 to 894. What is it? Again, is it 25? Yes, it is 25 megahertz for reverse transmission. So how many users can be connected? Can you get to know? You have 25 megahertz forward, 25 megahertz reverse. Now suppose each user uses 64 kbps channel at a time. So how many users can be connected here? 25 megahertz divided by 64 kbps. What is the answer for that? That will be your number of users. Number of users this AMPS first generation carries, okay, or it serves. So this is the pictorial representation of AMPS cellular bands. So here this is 824 megahertz to 849 megahertz. It is it reverse communication? Yes, it is reverse communication. Reverse communication means mobile to base station. Mobile to base station. Then 869 megahertz to 894 megahertz. It is called as forward communication. That will be from base station to mobile switching center. Sorry, not mobile switching center, mobile station. Okay, so you can get to know here, after every point, after every channel, there is a guard band of 30 kilohertz. What do you mean by guard band? We have discussed it in FDM. Guard bands provide us, they will give us the advantage of setting out from interference between the two channels, between the frequencies of two channels. Okay. Then transmission, AMPS uses FM and FSK. What is FM? Frequency modulation. And what is FSK? Frequency shift keying for modulation. Then voice channels are modulated. These two techniques, frequency modulation and frequency shift keying, we have already discussed, so I am skipping it. So voice channels are modulated using frequency modulation, and control channels use frequency shift keying to create 30 kilohertz analog signals, right? Then AMPS uses FDMA to divide each 25 megahertz band into 30 kilohertz channel. So here all the channels have 30 kilohertz. Sorry, that is not guard band. Here we have 30 kilohertz channel, each channel. Then in between the space is there, white space is there between these channels. This is called as guard band. Okay, so get to know how many 30 kilohertz channels will be there and what is the guard band length. Okay, you will get to know what is the guard band length. Then FDMA technique. This is frequency division multiple access technique that we have already learnt in 4th module. Okay. AMPS reverse communication band. So this is AMPS reverse communication. Reverse communication means mobile to base station. So how it works, it is shown here. This is not so important. There are totally 832 channels. 832 channels means 832 users can use it. Okay. Then coming to the second generation. In second generation mobile or this cellular telephony has evolved to provide higher quality mobile service, that is less noise prone mobile voice communication service. So the second generation of cellular telephone network was developed, and while the first generation was designed for analog voice communication, the second generation was mainly designed for digitalized voice. So the difference between first and second generation is, first generation was analog, it carries analog voice signals. Here it carries digitized voice signals. So when I say digitized voice signals, our analog voice signals are converted to digital signals. So when you convert analog signal to digital signals, that is through a process called as PCM that we have learnt in module 2. Okay, so it contains the 3 steps, that is sampling, quantizing and encoding. Okay, so here there are 3 major systems evolved in second generation, that is DAMPS, GSM and IS95. So the other 2 things I mentioned, that is AMPS, GSM and IS95 techniques. What are these? We will discuss. DAMPS, the product of evolution of the analog AMPS into a digital system, has evolved into digital AMPS. Right? DAMPS was designed to be backward compatible, means your 2G phones, then in 1990s I am talking about, your 2G phones are compatible of 1G carrying 1G network also. Now our 4G phones are capable to connect with 3G phones or 3G network, sorry, right? That is called as backward compatibility. If your 4G phone is not allowing you to connect your 3G network, then it is not a backward compatibility. That's it. Then band DAMPS uses same bands and channels as AMPS. That is, DAMPS uses same bands and channels as AMPS. How transmission happens? Each voice channel is digitized using a very complex PCM. As I already mentioned, how the signals are converted into digital signals, it is through PCM, right? Then a voice channel is digitized to 7.95 kbps. So three 7.95 kbps channels are combined using TDMA. TDMA means time division multiple access. Again, you have learned this concept in fourth module. Okay, the resulting 48.6 kbps of digital modulates a carrier using a QPSK. What is QPSK? Quadrature phase shift keying. You learned this in third module, I think. Then finally, the 30 kilohertz analog signal shares a 25 megahertz band, as we have seen in the FDMA case, and the DAMPS has a frequency reuse factor of 7. Okay, so this is how it is shown. This figure is not so important, I'll leave it. Then GSM, what we are using now. So the global system for mobile communication is a European standard. It is American standard, AMPS. This is European standard. One more standard we are going to learn, that is Japanese standard. So we are using European standard now. That was developed to provide a common second generation technology for all Europe. Then GSM uses two bands for duplex communication. Each band is 25 megahertz in width, shifted towards 9 megahertz. It is shown here. Then each band is divided into 124 channels of 200 kilohertz separated by guard bands, as you can see here. Okay, so these things you can just note down, and you can represent the same in exam. It has 124 channels. A reverse band has 124 channels. Forward band has another 124 channels. Okay. So this is the length 890 to 915, that is reverse band. 935 to 960 is forward band. Transmission. Each voice channel is digitized and compressed to a 13 kilobits digital signal. Each slot carries 156.25 bits, only 156.25 bits. So each slot shares a frame using TDMA. Then 26 frames also share a multi-frame, that is again using TDMA, right? So these technical details, these details I have mentioned in the last slide. So these technical details you have to get to know. You have to memorize these. This is the figure for GSM. Then the third standard is IS-95. This is again one of the North American standard. It is based on CDMA and DSSS. What is CDMA and DSSS? This you all learnt in fourth module, that is code division multiple access and direct spread spectrum shifting, right? So bands and channels. Again, IS-95 uses two bands for duplex communication. All these from first generation only we have seen two, that is duplex communication, that is two bands, one band for forward transmission and another band for reverse transmission. Please note down the band range here. It is not given, I think. Okay, it is here only. So ISM 800 megahertz or the ISM 1900 megahertz band. Each band is divided into 20 channels. Okay, each service provider is allotted with 10 channels. Okay, so IS-95 can be used in parallel with AMPS. Each IS-95 channel is equivalent to 41 AMPS channels. Please note this thing in mind. Then synchronization, all base channels need to be synchronized here to use CDMA. So to provide synchronization, basis uses services of GPS. What is GPS? Global Positioning System. So it is a satellite system. Then what are forward transmissions? Forward transmissions has two different techniques. So one for Sorry, transmission has two different techniques, one for forward and another for reverse. We have already discussed this. So in forward direction, communication between the base and all the mobiles are synchronized. Similarly with reverse. Okay, this is the figure, not so important. Then each voice channel is digitized, producing data at a basic rate of 9.6 kbps. So this is the highest rate at which we can accept data in 2G generation, that is 9.6 kbps. After adding error, correcting and repeating bits and interleaving, the result is a signal of 92 kilosignals per second, right? So we have something called as electronic serial number here. The scrambling signal is produced from a long code generator that uses electronic serial number of mobile station and generate 242 pseudo-random chips, each chip having 42 bits here. Okay, then the result of a scrambler is combined using CDMA. So whenever there is something called as concept called as chips, that should be handled with CDMA only. Okay, then 9 channels are used for control and synchronization here. So we have 9 channels which are used for control and synchronization purpose. Channel 0 is a pilot channel. The channel sends a continuous stream of ones to mobile stations. So channel 32 gives information about the system to the mobile station. Channel 1 to 7 are used for paging. Why paging is done, I have discussed in the previous slides. So channel 8 to 31 and 33 to 63 are traffic channels. Okay, they carry usual user data. Okay, reverse transmission. The use of CDMA in forward direction is possible because the pilot channel sends a continuous sequence of ones to synchronize transmission here. So instead of CDMA, the reverse channel uses DSS here. Okay, direct sequence spread spectrum. So IS95 reverse transmission is shown in this figure. Next one is third generation mobile networks. So in third generation mobile networks, the third generation of cellular telephony, it refers to a combination of technologies that provide both digital data and voice communication, right? So here after third generation, we have used actually especially third generation for data purpose, right? So here it is combination of both. It provides digital data service and voice communication also, right? So what are the things that are evolved, we will discuss here. Okay, an analogy is given here. A person can download a watch movie, download and listen to music, surf the internet or play games. So these are all the things that are evolved in third generation. Then voice quality comparable to that of existing public telephone network. Then data rate of 144 kbps for access in moving vehicle. So this is the data rate. 384 kbps when a user walks and 2 mbps for a stationary units. So it is very similar to our 4G network what our service providers give. It is actually 3G standards what we are actually enjoying now as 4G standards. Then support for packet switched and circuit switched data services, and it gives a band of 2 GHz. Bandwidth is 2 MHz. Then interface, it has provided us the interface to the internet. These are some of the features of third generation mobile networks, right? So this is the radio interfaces. Third generation, we have many interfaces. IMTDS, that is direct sequence, MC multi-carrier, TC time code, SC single carrier, FT frequency time. So what are these? IMTDS, this approach uses a version of CDMA called wideband CDMA, that is WCDMA. Okay, MC means this approach was developed in North America and is known as CDMA 2000. So it is an evolution of CDMA technology used in IS95 channels. Okay, then TC, this standard uses a combination of WCDMA and TDMA. So it is time code. Okay, the standard tries to reach the IMT 2000 goals by adding TDMA multiplexing to WCDMA. Okay, then SC refers to it only uses TDMA. Then FD uses FDMA and TDMA together. Okay, then coming to fourth generation, the last generation we are going to study in this module. So the fourth generation, it is expected to be a complete evolution in wireless communication. Some of the objectives are here: a spectrally efficient system, then high network capacity. Then look about the data rate. Data rate is 100 Mbps, usually for access in a moving car, that too in a moving car, and 1 Gbps for stationary users, which we will not get, although. Then data rate of at least 100 Mbps between any 2 points in the world. Then smooth handoff across heterogeneous networks. Then seamless connectivity and global roaming. High quality of service for multimedia. Then interoperability with existing wireless standards. Then all IP packet switched networks. So these are packet switched networks. So these are some of the characteristics or features of 4G network. Okay, then we'll see about the access scheme. So to increase efficiency, capacity and scalability, new access techniques are used here. Some of them are orthogonal FDMA and interleaved FDMA. So what are these and how the working of this is not discussed in your syllabus. So you just get to know or note down the points. What are the access schemes here? Or that is orthogonal FDMA and interleaved FDMA. Right. Then how about modulation? Modulation, more efficient quadrature amplitude modulation, that is 64 QAM is used here. Then how about radio system? The fourth generation uses a software defined radio system, that is called as SDR. Okay, the SDR can change its program to shift its frequency to mitigate interference in frequency. Okay, then coming to antenna, the antenna system we use here is MIMO, that is multiple input multiple output, and also multi-user multiple input multiple output antenna is used here. So using this antenna system together with special multiplexing, 4G allows independent streams to be transmitted simultaneously. That is one of the greatest use of 4G or 4th generation mobile systems. Then applications. At present rates of 15 to 30 megabits, 4G is capable of providing users with streaming HD television. So you can already you have already streamed HD television into your TVs. Then at rates of 100 Mbps, the content of a DVD 5 can be downloaded within about 5 minutes for offline access. So a DVD 5 can have the storage up to 5 GB. So it can be downloaded in, the content can be downloaded in 5 minutes. So that is the meaning of, that is the speed of 4G. Then these are some of the applications of your 4G. Okay, so this is the end of your syllabus, module 5. So I think you have watched all the videos, data communication videos. So if you have any doubts in this subject, overall subject, or in this video, please comment, or you can directly contact to my WhatsApp number to clarify your doubts. Okay, this is the last video on data communication. Then learn well all the concepts. Happy learning to you all, and do well in your exams, internal as well as external exams. Thank you. Have a good day.